Bristol Community College, Mathematics with Dan Avedikian, Math 011, Arithmetic, Section 4.1, Problem 20. This is Section 4.1, Problem 20. It says, a map of southeastern Massachusetts has a scale that says 1 inch equals 2.5 miles. The location of BCC's Fall River campus and New Bedford campus are indicated on this map. By using a ruler, you measure a distance of 6 3/8 inches between the two campus locations. Use a proportion to estimate the actual distance in miles. So for our proportion, a proportion has one fraction equal to another, basically. So one proportion will be 1 over 2.5. 1 inch over 2.5 miles. The one on top, 1 inch on the map, equals 2.5 miles in real distance. So that's a proportion. Let's set that equal to how many inches on the map we're looking for. And we said it's 6 3/8. Equals an unknown amount in reality in miles. So again, inches on the top, miles on the bottom for both. The number of miles that's unknown, I labeled it D for distance, which is sensible. So now that's the proportion. We have one fraction equal to another fraction. So when you have an unknown, what you want to do is multiply across in both directions and then divide away the number in front of the unknown value. So in one direction, I'll have 1 times D, which is just D, equals, doing the other direction, 2.5 times 6 3/8. So if these were whole numbers, I'd be all set. But because they're fractions, I have to remember back to a previous section. How can I multiply fractions like that? Well, to start off with, I want to write them both as improper fractions. To multiply fractions, really what you need to do is multiply top times top, bottom times bottom. And I have tops and bottoms, or numerators and denominators are the more correct phrase, but the numbers in front don't fit my process of top times top, bottom times bottom. So I have to write it so it only has a top and bottom, or only a numerator and a denominator. So the first one, the 2.5, if I want to convert that, I'm going to multiply the denominator times the number in front. 2 times 2 is 4. Take that result and add the result of 4 plus one more from the top is 5. So I'm going to have 5 over 2 for the first fraction. That's what 2.5 is equivalent to, is an improper fraction. In other words, a fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator. Do the same conversion for the 6 3/8. Coming from the denominator times the number in front, we multiply. 8 times 6 is 48. Take that result of 48, bring it up and add to the numerator. 48 plus 3 more is 51. Keep the same denominator. Now, let's see if we can reduce a little bit. The 2, the 5, 2, the 51 don't reduce. The 8, the 51, the 8, the 5 don't reduce either, unfortunately. So we will just multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. The denominators are easier. 2 times 8, I know that is 16, no problem. 5 times 51 is a little bit bigger. So if I had to do it in my head, I would first do 5 times 50 is 250, add in one more 5, 255. Not everybody thinks of tricks like that. So you can just off to the side, 51, 5 times. 5 times 1 is 5. There's nothing to carry. And then 5 times 5 is 25, 255. That's what I said. And if you have to do it out this way, you waste only a few seconds. So what we wound up with is 1 times D is D equals, so for my numerator, oops, I didn't write it here, 255. And the denominator is 16. That's how many miles? 255 over 16, which is the correct answer, but it's not something a lot of people make much sense over. Is that 10 miles, more than 10 miles? What is it? So to put it in a more useful and familiar format, what we can do is divide 255 divided by 16. So let's give myself a little bit of room. 255 is going to go under the division symbol. 16 in front. 16 divided into 2 won't fit. 16 divided into 25, it will fit once. 16, 1 times 16 is my 16. 25 minus 16 is 9. So bring down the next digit. The 5 comes down next to that 9. So now 16 divided into 95. Well, let's see. 2 16s is 32, 4 is 64, and 32. I think 5 is as close as we're going to come, just doing a little bit of an estimate in my head. So let's try it. 5 times 6 is 30, carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5, 5 plus 3 more is 8. So I have 80. So that is about what we're going to get. 95 minus 80 is 15. And so it has to be less than the number you're dividing with, and it is. So now, it didn't go in evenly. Think of the 255 as a 255.0. You can bring that down and ask yourself, 16 divided into 150. So, and that decimal will come straight up. Let's start with 9, because I know 10 16s is 160. So 9 should get me as close as I'm going to be able to get. 9 times 6 is 54. Write the 4. Carry the 5. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 plus 5 more is 4. So I have 144. 150 minus 144 is 6. Still hasn't gone in evenly. So I can just keep putting in zeros until I either make it go in evenly or I decide that I'm going to round off. So now the next 0 comes down. Next to the 6, I have 60. So 6 will divide into 60. I know 4 of them is 64, so not quite 4 would be 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Write the 8, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 more is 4, so I have 48. 60 minus 48 is 12. Let's see if it's going to go in evenly now. So if I bring down another 0, I'd have 120. Let's see. I don't know if it's going to go in evenly. Let's try 7. So 7 times 6 is 42. Write the 2, carry the 4. Let's clean this up a little bit. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 and 4 more is 11. So 120 minus 112 is 8. Still hasn't gone in evenly. So at this point, a lot of people would stop. Actually, if I go one more digit, it is going to go in evenly. So 16 times something is 80. Times 5 should make it fit perfectly. 5 times 6 is 30. Write the 0, carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 plus 3 more is 8. 80 minus 80, 0. Remainder is 0. So now we made it fit. So it's almost 16 miles, 15.9 something, a little less than 16 miles from Fall River campus to New Bedford campus in reality based on our measurement on the map.